and it's getting another 2-in-1 put on it that not a lot of people are using. Not a lot of people see them. Welcome back to EBT Performance Pakenham, the home of Squids Speed Shop. Today we're starting in the dyno room. I've got a 2024 Lowrider S, the 117 with the S&S 475 cam in it. We've also got the big S&S 2-in-1 on it, and this bike's a mean bit of kit. So, why is it here? Well, we're putting a big bore kit in it, obviously. That's what you have to do. If you're currently sitting there with a stage 2, don't care what cam you've got in it, but you got the stock barrel and pistons on it, no good. Let's put a big bore kit in it. Let's make it proper fast. That's what it's all about. This bike had been built at the dealership when it was first purchased, and then it was tuned by another little small shop out local, and the customer's not happy with how it's sort of running, but we'll see how it does. That's so I'll run it up on the dyno. We'll see what the baseline is so that we can see how much power are we gaining from a big bore kit in my tune. We're also going to upgrade a few of the other little components as we go, and it's getting another 2-in-1 put on it that not a lot of people are using. Not a lot of people see them, so that's going to be pretty exciting to see how that goes. I don't use it a ton, but I'm really excited to see the results. So let's crack in, let's get a baseline done, and start tearing into it. So how did this thing go? Running it up for the first time. 108 horsepower, 123 foot-pound. Look, the numbers aren't great. From what the customer's told me, it's a S&S 475, but when I'm upgrading the components, I will be verifying that. What we have here from this tune is this is typically not tuned properly in this area. This S&S 2-in-1 is typically quite good down low, and I'm not seeing it there. This couple of dips in the torque line is very bizarre. This should be just a nice peak. And then out the back end, I feel like the timing might be wrong, or it's running a little lean just because of how jagged it is. That should be relatively smooth. And typically for this combination, I would probably see another 10 horsepower and another 7 foot-pound of torque. So that's a little bit alarming. These sort of results frustrate me because clearly the care wasn't taken that I believe should have been taken. Like there's still a bit left in this tune. These sort of dyno graphs, they make me sad. I just feel like the customer was ripped off. He did not get the most out of his bike. All I can say is make sure you trust whoever you send your pride and joy to, and that you've got a good relationship with them. But as far as this bike goes, I feel like there's a little bit more left in that tune. Should have been running a little bit better than that. But that's no worries. We're going to make it go even harder. So we've got the Lowrider on the bench. Man, this thing looks great. The crash bar set up on it. The bark busters. This is a sick rig. The tune, probably a little bit average, but still rips pretty good. I'm going to get into the teardown, get this thing blown apart. We'll verify what cam is in it, and I'll go through some of the components, why I pick them in particular over some others, but there's a bit of foreshadowing. It's usually quality. That's the reason why I pick most of the stuff that I pick. Quality, and it works. Next time you see me, bike will be torn down. We'll go through the parts, and I'll show you off that fancy exhaust that we've got for this thing. Ooh, it's going to look good on this bike. It's going to look good. I've got the motor mostly pulled down, ready to receive the parts. I just thought I'd give you an update on what the cam selection was that was already in the bike, but it has the tried and true S&S 475. A little bit hard to see there on the camera, but I can see it just fine. The other thing to point out was with the previous tune that was on this bike, it was definitely running a little bit hot and a little bit too much timing as standard. You can just see as you can just see the white finish and the peppering. Now that to me says run a little hot, a little bit too much timing. And what it does is it lights up this carbon and starts the knock early. Same thing on the front. The front probably had 1-2 less degrees timing than the rear, as it's a little bit darker. You can just see the build up on it is quite thick and powdery, rather than a thin black carbon layer, which is what you should be seeing. We're installing the new lifters. They're an upgraded version. They are the Fueling Race Series. And for my money, they're my favourite. But I don't really mind what high capacity lifter you go with. And I've had these soaking in oil overnight because I had the luxury of being able to set this up. When I don't have the luxury of time, you can put them in a vacuum vessel, or you can also you can just use an oil squirter and prime them that way. But if I got the luxury of the time, I'd just put them in the oil bath and it's happy days. Right, now it's time for our S&S billet tappet cuffs. They're labelled front and rear. On they go. The new bolts with a little bit of Loctite. We just want to be able to move the lifter cuffs in place. Get out our feeler gauge. So we get out two thou feeler gauges. They just go in between, just like so. We get out our torque wrench. It's best to always check the website for the updated torque spec. At the minute, the website is saying 16 nut measurements. Same thing for the front one. I'll get some new gaskets for our black tappet covers because it's easier to install these now without the barrels in place, just so it's easy to get the tools to it. And then we'll move on to my most hated task, which is installing the S&S piston squirter. And so if you are thinking about getting a stage 2 done, this is the ideal time if you want to black out your motor to get the tappet covers done, because there's no extra labour, because I'm already in there to install the billet tappet cuffs, and it's just really nice to be able to make the motor look cohesive, if that's what you're into. For my money, on my own products, on my own bikes, I keep it all chrome, just because it looks factory still, at least at a glance. Those that know are going to see that the chrome pushrod covers are slightly different lengths, but the vast majority of the public don't know when they look at it, so it looks stock, and that makes it easier to grudge race. And yeah, just, in case I didn't mention it earlier, it's way easier to do this task without the barrel and pistons on. If you've ever tried to attempt it at home, you'll find out that these back Allen keys, these back Allen bolts are very hard to get to and require nice ball end sockets. But for us right now, we have easy access to it. Don't stress out about the impact gun. This is a baby one. and it only does things up to about 12 Newton meters. So don't stress. Still got to come past and check it with a ratchet anyway. There you have it. Brand new lifters installed, the S&S billet tappet cuffs and black tappet covers. So that's ready to go. It's time, guys. It's time for me to be stressed out and panicking. I'll be sweating. Time to install the S&S piston squirters. Essentially, what I do, we get a beautiful clean rag, you stuff him in the hopes that if you do drop the guy, gotta get this guy out of the way a little bit. Yeah, so the hope is decide that it wants to drop onto the rag and I can easily retrieve it. All right? So there you go. You guys can see that. Hopefully we'll be safe. Should have had more rum for breakfast so that my hands aren't shaking. These bolts get a little bit of Loctite on them too. Little bit of mechanics insurance. Okay, let's go for it, guys. Sorry that my hand is blocking. Try and operate it in a manner that, no, you just can't see there, can you? I've got one started there. Just drive him in a little bit further. I'm just trying to do this in a manner that you guys can see what I'm doing. Normally I'd have both of my hands stuffed in there, holding things, pushing away. So we're gone full risky mode, just so that you guys can see the shot. And so because the bolt's sort of loose, I've got a magnet on it, but at least I can guide him into place. You see that? And so the question is, what happens if you do drop either the bolt or a tool or the gasket? Well, you got to fish it out. And I can tell you now, it's not a fun time. There's many places it can hide. And if it is hiding and you can't get it with a magnet, with a hook, then you're stuffed. And you've got to remove the engine from the bike and you've got to split the cases to find it. So that is why this job is so stressful, or this task is so stressful, because nobody wants that. Okay, it's time to install our S&S 132 kit. While I'm doing that, I just want to sort of explain how important it is to have this put together by someone who knows what they're doing. There's a whole lot of checks and fine adjustments done to these parts before they are installed. So we can go through things like checking the offset in how the cases are lined up, how much that makes the cylinder sit up or down, what sort of gasket we need to run for our deck height, as well as checking out the piston to bore clearances and making sure that they are within a reasonable spec. There's also a lot of piston to ring clearances, as well as piston ring end gaps, right? So all of these things I'm finely tuning to optimize and set up the motor exactly how I want. And I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions, but that is definitely one of those things where that's the speed secrets right there. That's what you're paying for when you're having me build your motor. You're paying for my secrets. Essentially, what ring end gaps I like, what piston to bore clearance I like, balancing the weight of the pistons. That's another big thing, which with the S&S kit, it's a little bit difficult because the pistons are front and rear, whereas there are a bunch of other kits out there where the pistons are not specific to front and rear. So by swapping out which gudgeon pin you're using with which piston with which ring pack, you can get the weights relatively close without having to take any material out of the backside of the piston. But all of these things are super crucial. They're all the 1%ers. That's what people overlook all the time. They just think you throw these components together. And yes, filming it for YouTube and me showing you now, me installing these pistons and not showing you the last 2 hours of getting everything measured and set up correctly definitely does give the illusion that that's all it is. But the biggest problem is that you can do that, absolutely. Just throw the parts together. That's what a lot of shops out there are doing. But you're missing out. You're missing out on the little pieces of power. And sorry, guys, I do struggle to talk and work at the same time. But essentially, what it is I've just spent the last 2 hours cleaning, measuring, and fine-tuning to make this S&S 132 kit as optimal as it can be. There is no secret out there that I'm a huge fan of this kit. I would pick it over just about any other kit on the market. The clearance sizes are more accurate. They have a very low failure rate compared to a bunch of the 128 kits that are kicking out. S&S is a quality item. The people on Facebook, on the forums, complaining about a failed S&S component aren't in the industry. It's that simple. It's a guy who's bought the product, probably just thrown it together, and then had a miserable time. Those in the industry know S&S sell might be 100 times more product than anybody else. And their failure rate is still lower than all of the other small performance manufacturers. So keep that in mind anytime you see somebody out there saying, oh yeah, my S&S component failed, this component failed. So the mass manufacturing that they do for hotted up Harley parts, their quality control is pretty good. It really is. I've seen more stock piston and barrels fail. I've seen more 128 kits fail. But I'm sure all of yous there want to know what deck height I set it up at, what piston ring clearance. And the truth is I'm not going to tell you those secrets. That's a little bit far for me because there are a ton of shops locally that want that information. They want to know why my motors go good. Misconception for all the old blokes watching is that your piston rings have to be set up at, 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, this and that, whatever the old rule of thumb is. I can't remember because it's not accurate. The funny thing is, yes, you don't want them aligned. And the other thing you want is them to not be, the other thing that you want is the ring end gaps to not be on the load side of the cylinder wall. That's the real secret there. And that's only for first startup. That's the only time it matters. After that, the hone finish on the cylinder wall is going to be spinning these rings around so damn fast as it goes up and down that the ring position doesn't matter. It only matters for first startup, and all you have to do is keep the end gaps off the load surface. So all the old timers out there, you can get in the comments and tell me how wrong I'm in. That's fine. Tell me all about it. But I'm telling you now, that's how it is. And so now I'm just covering the piston with some assembly lube, making sure I get the skirts good. Now I already pre-lubed the rings before I put them in, but a little more never hurts. A little more never hurts. So I've got the brand new base gaskets in at the thickness I require to get the deck height where I need it to be. So this is the Jim's ring compressor tool. Get that going on there. Get out our front cylinder. And we just clean up the base gasket if we've got any assembly lube on it. And we just gently send her home. Move on to the rear. The same thing again, just gently wiggle it down. You want to be really careful when the spigot is starting to enter the engine case. They're quite thin, and if you're too aggressive with them, you can flex them. Here we have the S&S 55mm intake manifold. This is the premium version. It's been CNC ported. Having really good result with these guys. Essentially, they flow maybe 2 to 3% better than when I was hand porting the original cast 55mm. Except I always get the same thing. That's why I love the CNC port rather than doing things by hand. These flow the same every single time, and they just work great. They're good value for money, and so this is how we set them up. Other key notes are, this bike's also getting 6.2 injectors. These are a match set out of Rollies in Queensland. Also, there's a lot of talk about replacing these plastic fuel rails. I've seen a lot of bikes over, well, since 2017. We've had this plastic setup. I've never seen one fail. My best guess as to why these things are failing, I don't know what the stats are, but I assume they've got a lot to do with people changing the injectors. If you're rough with them, you can break them for sure. But if you're gentle, they work just fine. They really do work fine. So, this is what we're going to do. We're going to install our original map sensor, a little bit of rubber grease, just to help that seal. And just put it in with a little bit of a twist. Next, injectors. Same thing again, a little bit of rubber grease on the O-rings here. Just to stop them getting hung up by any friction. This rubber grease also acts a bit like a conditioner and will help keep the O-rings supple for longer while they're in the bike. So that when this customer decides that this power level isn't enough for him, and we go to put it and we go to turn it into a stage 4, and we put the big boy 64, 65 mil throttle body manifold setup on it. These injectors, they'll come out nice and easy, and then go into the new one. We just pop him in. We just got to make sure it's lined up. Brilliant. And then into the manifold. Give them a little push down. Make sure they're seated. They're happy in their home. Hopefully the rain isn't too loud for you. It's hammering down here in Melbourne. Next up, we've got our flanges, brand new seals that come with the manifold. Same thing again, rubber grease. It helps position the manifold into place without cutting the seals. Notice a little bit of grease there, we'll clean that up, because you need your parts to look good. And there we have it, our 55mm CNC ported intake manifold, ready to be offered up to the bike. So here's the surprise, guys. It's a Trask Assault 2-in-1. Look at that thing. Looks so good. Now I've just finished a bunch of the runs, so we've already started to get the colour. You can see it's goldened up beautifully. Man, stainless pipes. That's where it's at for me. One downside to... So there is one downside to the Trask Assault 2-in-1. It's just the packaging. Guys at Trask, if you ever do see this video, why put the heat formed plastic over the exhaust? All of this safety wire gets full, and you spend about half an hour picking it out. Man, just put it in a box like everybody else. Damn. But apart from that, pretty sick pipe. But what you want to know is, what's the results? Where did we get? What did we achieve for our efforts? Let's go have a look. Here it is, guys. The blue line being the baseline before we added the big bore kit. Red being what it is now after I've just spent the day tuning it. And you can see 134 horsepower and 157 foot-pound of torque. Monster gains. Absolutely monster gains right there. The takeaway here is, if you're building a stage 2, doesn't matter what it is, try and get the best 55mm intake manifold that you can. This particular job we've swapped out to the S&S CNC, the premium 55mm intake manifold, and it works the best. And apart from that, all we've done is put the S&S 132 kit in it. I've gone through and made sure it's set up correctly, tuned it to perfection, and we're getting a massive gain. A massive gain. So, all you boys with stage 2s out there, let's put a big bore kit in it. I cannot stress that enough. This is where they're perfect. All of these M8s are perfect at 130 horsepower. So, I hope you enjoyed me stuffing around with those piston squirters. Remember that the t-shirts are available in store. If you can't get into the store, like if you're out of state or in another country, send me an email, info@ebtpakenham.com.au. We can sort something out. But if you're in Victoria, man, get on your bike, come down and visit me. It's that simple, guys. Get out and ride your bike. That's what's important. Don't forget about the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, and for everyone watching, thank you. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your mates. Get in the comment section. Tell me what you want to see more of. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you do like. I want to hear all about it. I'll go back and forth with you in the comments. That's no worries in the world. So thanks for watching. Until next week, Uru.